السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. I'm back on Facebook. I want to make a little video, a short video, talk about this topic. It's a very good topic here. Some Muslims, African American Muslims, are talking about pertaining to systemic racism in the U.S. Um, should black people fight or flight? Should black people in America dealing with systemic racism, should they fight it or should they take flight, meaning flee, go to another country? And this is a good topic that a lot of the black conscious community, whether Muslim or not, are talking about uh, due to the high rate of police brutality against blacks, systemic racism of the legal system, and the U.S. laws that are working, meaning that when you see police kill black people, when black people getting harassed by the police, when police kill blacks, when the legal system do nothing about it, we understand that this is systemic racism. It's working. The laws of systemic racism is working. Despite African Americans in the U.S. fighting for their civil rights or civil liberties, and seeing from the civil rights movement for ending of Jim Crow laws, ending of segregation laws, and laws that have been passed through to affirmative action from the civil rights movement, we still find black people at square one. All right? We still find people back to the same old thing, still dealing with systemic racism from whites, and still in being killed and oppressed or redlined through white systemic racism against blacks. So the question now is, do black people fight or do they take flight? Meaning, do we fight the system that is oppressing us, or do we migrate to another place, another country that seems to be less trivial for blacks? Either go to another Western country, or go to Africa, or go to another country that is open for black peoples to go there, with little, with at least not dealing with the same type of systemic racism. And I have my own opinion about this particular topic. Do black people in America fight, or do they go somewhere else? Do they migrate to Africa? Do they migrate to another Western country or Asian country that does not have the same systemic racist systems that's targeting blacks by killing them and incarcerate them at a higher rate? So do black people fight, meaning in US, do they challenge the legal system? Do they take up arms? Do they fight, I guess, systemic racism with taking arms? Or do they fight systemic racism through the legal system? Or do they fight systemic racism with both of these approaches? Or do they just get up and leave, knowing that there is no win for blacks in America? In my opinion on this topic is going to be very broad and very detailed and broad. I truly believe that black people in America, no matter what you do, no matter where you go, no matter if you fight or you flee or you take flight, none of these things are going to be the solution if black peoples in America still have that self-hate. And what I mean by self-hate, none of these things are going to work. Because say you do fight, all right, you want to fight, whether it's through the legal system or through to take arms, black people, when it comes to fighting, white supremacy, systemic racism, We have no wins on that area. Why? Because black people, we are still fighting and killing each other. All right? We're still fighting and killing each other. And I'll give a description of what I mean by that in a few seconds. Pertaining to fleeing or taking flights. Black people leaving here and going somewhere else where there's less trivial to less problems for blacks, right? There's a problem with that. Goes back to the mind setting of black Americans. If you don't have the mind setting and you don't fix the self-hate, no matter where you go, you're going to still have problems, right? So, for example, if you're black and you're saying you want to move away from America due to systemic racism, and for example, you go to another Western country like Europe, like United Kingdom. Well, in United Kingdom, white supremacy, that's the origin of white supremacy is it's Europe. The origin of white supremacy is Europe. So if you go to another Western country, a European country, you're still going to deal with racism from whites. You're still going to deal with prejudice from whites. You're still going to deal with aggression from whites, no matter where you go. Now, if you go to an Asian country and you're black, you're still going to deal with racism, anti-black attitude against blacks. Maybe you don't have to worry about police shooting you or shooting your children, but your children and yourself still gonna have to deal with racism, right? Because when you migrate to another country, you're not a citizen of that country. You migrate to another country, you still are not a citizen of that country. So your rights are going to be limited. You're not a citizen. You're a resident or have a visa, right? If you go to Africa, which might be a good idea for blacks who want to be entrepreneurs in America, that could be an option. But if you're going to go to Africa thinking you're going to find black unity, you're going to find that many Africans are more tribal and have more self-hate than the average American. If you go to Africa, you're going to find Africans, they are very tribal and might not accept you, right? And they're going to be tribal depending on where in Africa you go, right? Because some are friendly, some are not. And if you still have this self-hate of self and you go to some of these countries and you're not dealing with the real problem with black people in America, which is self-hate and don't have unity, if you go to another African nation, you're not going to remove that. That's not going to be removed from you automatically. So when you go to these nations and you're going to see trials and tribulations that be in these countries, because it's not a Western country. They don't have the Western system, meaning that it's not a first world country, it might be a third world country. So there's some luxuries that you're not going to have. There's some type of luxuries that you're not going to have. And you might just leave just because you don't have these luxuries that you're accustomed to from the Western country. Or you might see certain things that you don't understand and don't like and not able to change because you're not a citizen of that society. Right? You're not a citizen of that society. So they could remove you anytime they want. They could change laws. Anything can happen to you. And if you don't have the mind setting, if you have the mind setting of self-hate, you won't be able to deal with those type of hardships. All right. So you're going to end up coming right back to the U.S. Pertaining to black people now in the U.S. who say, do we fight the system or do we flight? Do you fight the system? Meaning that take arms, police kill a black person, take arms. All right. Some black people say this. If police kill black people, you take arms, you take revenge, and that will prevent the police from killing blacks. That might be a solution, but there's a problem with that also. What you're going to do when black people are killing other black peoples? What are you doing in those situations? This has come to the real question, the real issue. If we hate law enforcement killing black peoples, but within our own circles and communities, blacks are killing blacks at a higher rate, then who are you gonna have to fight the system? Who from you is gonna be ready to bear arms to fight the system when black people are fighting and killing each other? All right. When you look at white supremacy, all right, and those militant groups, they're all together. All the white folks, they're together. They're not killing each other. You got me? They're not fighting each other. They're prepared to fight you. At the same time, black people, we're not prepared to fight them or the system physically, but we fight each other every single day in America. Matter of fact, we fight each other so much, we call the white man, the white police, on each other. I say it again. We fight each other so much and we have so much self-hate. We fight each other, then we are the ones who call the white man, the white police, on each other. Right? We are the ones who call police on each other when we're in dispute. So for those individuals who say, blacks, we need to take arms and fight against the system, man, we're fighting and killing each other each day. Right? So what is the real problem? The real issue? The real issue is that blacks, we have a lot of self-hate. And then we, with the self-hate, when we get into the problem, and these women raising these kids by themselves, these single women with no real men around, when they get into problems, when blood is spilled, when people are upset, we call the white race soldiers on each other. And then when police come about, the white man have no mercy. He see all you niggas as savages. Female, male, all of you savages. What he do? Y'all like animals, so I shoot you like an animal. If you behave like an animal, I shoot you like an animal. That's the white man's thinking. This is who the white man is. You act like savages, you get treated like savages. So he has no mercy. You ever see when police come and there's stray dog in the street attacking somebody? The police treat the dog with more mercy. Police treats the stray dogs who attack people in the street with more mercy. They would taser the dog. They will call special organization or police or organization dealing with stray animals and veterinarians dealing with emergency cases of dogs in the street and stuff. They will call one of those peoples, or they would taser the dog or put the dog to sleep and won't kill it, but they will kill a black person in the altercation. And if the dog's attacking somebody, the white man won't kill the dog because the white man said the dog is the best friend. The dog is, so white man see a dog, the dog in the eyes of the white man has a higher level than the black person. So the Negroes, we have a lot of self-hate. So we talk about fighting the system. How are we going to fight the system when we're fighting each other? How are we going to fight the system when morally we hate each other? We hate our skin colors. We hate dealing with each other. We don't know how to deal with each other. We don't even know how to spend money with each other. So how are you going to fight the system when we have the self-hate with each other? And for those say either you fight or flight. See, in psychology, when a person is in a very high tense trauma situation, right? When something happened, the body starts either do two things. The body is going to be prepared to fight or flight. That's something natural, meaning fighting the situation to stop it, or fleeing from it so it doesn't harm you, right? So black people, when we get in certain type of situations, especially with systemic racism and policing and what's going on, So we have two peoples now, two groups. One is fighting, one wants to leave. We can't even make agreement on what we want to do as a group of peoples. That's the only solution. The only solution that I hear people talking about for blacks, either you fight the system, whether it's physically or through the courts, or you just flee. Black people can't even make a decision on what they want to do. One decision that we need to stand and do. Why? This is a sign that we don't even have unity because we can't even make a decision. Some of us say, hey, you have to leave. The other ones say you must fight the system. We can't even make an agreement on what to do as a group of peoples. Fight or flight. That's the only option. We can't even sit down and have a discussion about it because fleeing doesn't solve the problem. Fleeing from something doesn't solve the problem. Fleeing doesn't solve the problem of systemic racism. Fleeing from it doesn't remove systemic racism. Because when you flee, where you going to go? Tell me where you're going to go where white supremacy don't rule. Where you going to go? Europe own Africa. Europe, Western countries own Africa. Majority of its leaders are educated in the Western hemisphere. So the leaders of Africa or the countries of Africa are ran by the Western world. That's why they take all the resources out their country. So where are you going to go? Where are you going to go to and flee white supremacy? Tell me where you're going to go. See, black people, we don't want to deal with our self-hate. Our self-hate is the origin of our problems and why we don't have unity. You notice the white man, he has unity. I'm going to show you how a white man has unity. Look at Israel. Israel is a good example. America support Israel with military help, financial help, and political help, right? And Israel oppresses the original people of the land, the Palestinians, right? Oppress them. Why do America, I'm going to show you how white supremacy works. Why America supporting? You know, some of those Palestinians in Philistine, some of them are Christian. Every Palestinian is not Muslim. Some Palestinians are Christians. A small population of Palestinians, they're Christians. They're Christians. The Israelis, they're Jewish. They're not Christian, right? So Palestinians, Muslim majority, and Christian minority, right? The U.S. government doesn't support the Christians in Palestine. Doesn't support those Palestinian Christians. The U.S. government support the white power structure who happen to be Jewish. So white supremacy, your religion, Jews, they're white. The Christians believe in their faith that the Jews have something to do with the death of Christ. Yes, it's part of the Christian's faith. The Christians also believe in their faith, right? When the false Messiah comes, he's going to be Jewish. They believe that. That's part of Christian doctrines. There's former Jews, Christians who believe that when the Antichrist comes, he's going to be Jewish and the Jewish people are going to follow him. They believe this. This is what Christians believe, right? But you notice the white power structure in America who happen to be Christian, they don't support the Palestinian Christians. They support the Israelis, Jews, Zionists who are white, whose origins are from Europe. They support them. So religion has nothing to do with American government supporting Israel. It has to do with being white. So African Americans in the U.S., we don't even support each other. We fight each other over religion while we're all being killed and bombarded with the same thing. We fight each other over stupid things. We fight each other over things that we don't even own. We fight over things which we don't even own. White men own it and we fight over it. So when we're able to deal with the self-hate, there's no longer a question. Either you fight or flee. Fight or flight. It's not a question because if we have unity, whatever we're going to do it as a whole. We're going to do it as a whole. Even in that discussion about whether black people should flee from America or fight here, that shows that even in this discussion, we don't have unity. We don't make a decision by our race. We don't make this decision by a race. What's best for the black people in America? We can't fight because we don't have unity. We're fighting each other every day. Every day. You know, I know police laugh at us. Police laugh at black peoples. The white racist police officer laugh at black peoples every day. Police officer in general laugh at black people every day because the majority of people who's calling the police are black people calling the police on other black peoples, because we have no moral compass and we have a lot of self-hate. So police laugh at us. They laugh at us all the time. They laugh at us all the time. Why? So these niggas, man, the niggas talking about on police killing me. Okay, no problem. We stop answering them 911 calls. That's all police got to do. We take our time. We don't answer all these 911 calls, because majority of people calling 911, the majority of people who's calling 911 in these black communities are black people calling 911 on other black peoples. Something is missing here. The moral compass is gone. The self-hate is real amongst blacks. And then the other black people who say that we have to flee. I listened to a brother give a beautiful talk about George Floyd, the verdict. I heard some brothers talk a good topic about this. And one of the brothers said, then we have to leave. Fight or leave. Fight or leave. And I'm saying to myself, yo, man, you living in a Western country. You in Europe. You in Europe, man. You fleeing America, going to another white nation. You're going to the head, the origin of white supremacy. You living in the origin of white supremacy. So if black people are going to leave to go where? Leave to go where? Go to Africa? Who's that guy? Ernest Chauvin, that white guy who worked for the U.S. government, who gave up all that information about how the U.S. government is spying on its citizen, right? Where did he go? Where did he go when the U.S. government was coming for him, right? Because he gave up all the news, all the information about the U.S. government spying on Americans, right? Where did he go? He didn't go to Africa. You notice that, right? He didn't go to Africa, and he didn't go to no Arab countries. Come on, man. Gotta use some common sense. Why this dude didn't go to Africa? Well, first thing you know, America, Western countries rule Africa. Rule their leaders. He didn't go to no Middle Eastern country because the Western governments also rule and control their politics. He went to Russia. He went to what? He went to Russia because he know that American government don't rule, have no say-so in Russia. That's why he wanted to go to Russia. You know, any other European countries, any African countries, any Asian countries, the American government have say-so or rule their country. All right? Showing you, if black peoples, if you talk about you want to leave America now to get away from systemic racism, where are you going to go where you're not going to see white system controlling and running everything? Where are you going to go? Where are you going to go? I mean, there's some places you can go. Where are you going to go? I can see somebody go somewhere because there's less problems for them because they're black. Wherever you go in the world, if you're running away from systemic racism in America, and the reason why you're leaving systemic racism in America because you don't know how to deal with it or you don't want to deal with it no more, if you don't find the solution for our people's issues, no matter what country you go to, you're going to have to deal with it. If you're running away from America for systemic racism because black people does not want to take the responsibility to stand up and be moral, right peoples and stop the self-hate of each other, no matter where you go in the world, you're going to find yourself still without the solution, and you're going to find problems still. No matter where you go, you're not going to be a citizen of this country. So that means that you're not going to have 100% rights, and you're going to feel some type of way about it. If you go to Africa, you're going to still deal with self-hate, because our self-hate for our black skin, our self-hate that we have, its origin comes from Africa. Why? How do black people get into slavery in America? Africans sold other Africans as slaves to Arabs and Europeans. That's how black people got caught in slavery. This is how we end up in America. Africans selling other Africans to the white man and to Arabs. So black people, we have a lot of self-hate. If we don't deal with this issue, no matter where you go in the world, you're going to have problems because the self-hate issue is not being dealt with. So you go to Africa. Africa has self-hate. Look at the continent of Africa. Africa should be one nation. Africa is not one nation. It's one continent with many nations inside of it. Why? Because the people are separated. Why? Because of self-hate. Self-hate. That's why the Europeans control the resources in Africa, because Africans have self-hate. And when you have self-hate and you hate each other, then you are easy people to conquer over. So no matter if you go to Africa, you're still going to have the same problem. Self-hate. No unity because of self-hate. So no matter where you go, you're going to have problems. Because you didn't deal with the original problem, the self-hate. Black people in America need to remove from themselves self-hate. That is the Black Revolution. The Black Revolution is an evolution. The Black Revolution is an evolution, meaning you're going to make change. And the change that we need to make is the cognitive change, the mental change. Remove all these things from our mental state. The self-hate. We must remove these things from ourselves. The self-hate. Because if we remove self-hate, then black people have unity. Why? Because we all have the same objective. We wanted to preserve ourselves. Asian people in America don't have self-hate. All Asians in America don't have self-hate. Asians don't have self-hate. White men don't have self-hate for each other. Look at Joe Biden. Joe Biden is a clear example. The president, Joe Biden. What did he say when he was elected, when he was sworn in? When he first became president, what did he say? To the white supremacists, the Trump supporters, he says, I am your president. Wow. He said to them, I am your president, meaning that I have your interests. You're part of my interests. I am your leader. He didn't say that to black people. He said that to the Trump supporters, to the white supremacists. He letting them know that he is their leader. He's thinking of them. This is white people supporting each other even when they are wrong. That's why Biden say that. Even when they're wrong, Trump supporters are wrong and they're racist. Even though they're wrong, Biden said, I am your president, meaning I'm thinking about your interests. That's somebody who loves his white peoples, no matter if he disagree with their policies and politics. Negroes don't have a clue about anything. Our peoples don't have a clue. We have a lot of self-hate. Even Joe Biden, he's Democratic. Well, he told these racists, I'm your leader. I have your best interests as your president, even though you didn't elect me. He didn't say that to black folks. He didn't say that to black peoples. Even though he disagreed with their politics. Even though we don't really know. He might not disagree with their politics. He might just have another measure or another medium to get to their goals. Their goal might be to be aggressive. His goal might be the same as theirs, right, with white supremacy, but he wants to take the passive way. Because the passive way rock niggas to sleep. He's like, what? His passive way rock niggas to sleep. Meaning singing kumbaya with you guys. Kumbaya. Holding your hand. Virtue signaling. Black woman vice president, whose career was made by putting blacks in prison, right? Virtual signaling with Negroes, right? and rocking black people to sleep with that black vice president, because now we think Biden's for black people. But when Biden got in the office, he told those Trump supporters and those Republicans who didn't vote for him, he said, I am your leader. White man supporting the white man, even if he disagree with him. Black people, we have disagreement, we don't have nothing to do with each other. Matter of fact, we kill each other over the most stupidest and dumbest things. We have to heal ourselves. And the way that we heal from ourselves, we must admit. You ever see somebody go to like AA meetings? People have drug addictions. They have to admit their drug abuse. The reason why they're there, because if they don't admit their drug abuse, then any of the therapy that they're going to get is not going to work. And even in therapy, it's like from the therapist, psychologist, you have to somewhat understand, want to be there to get the therapy. If you don't want to be there to get the therapy, then it's not going to benefit you because you don't want to be there. Same thing with the person who goes to the AA meetings. He has to admit his abuse so he can get what? Help. No, recognize he got an issue. If black folks, we don't recognize that we have a lot of self-hate, we're not going to get no therapy. We're not going to have no unity. Black people in America we have a lot of self-hate. And because we have the self-hate is the why the black community have no unity. That's why I could go in the hood in New York, where I'm from. I could go to the all black neighborhoods and see that Arabs got liquor stores and selling poison, and black people got no problem with it. Black people don't got no problems with it. They don't care these people are exploiting them. Why? Because Negroes have self-hate. Then he's going to say, man, then there's some other group's going to say, hey, why all these peoples, these immigrants, why they got businesses in our neighborhoods, but we don't own no business? And then at the end of the day, you're patronizing him. You're going to go and shop from him. Why? Because black people, we have a lot of self-hate. We're accustomed to people taking advantage of us who don't look like us. And then when a black person take advantage of them, then we want to fight that black person. That's self-hate. When the black person take advantage of another black person, whether it's doing crime, whether it's being corrupt, we get mad. You want to kill, you want to fight. But when the non-black does it to you in your neighborhood, you're not killing them. Why are you not running them Arabs out your neighborhoods? Why are you not running them Asians out your neighborhoods? Why are you not running all those non-black people who's exploiting your community? Why you don't run them out? Why you don't run them peoples out? Why? Because we have self-hate. We have a lot of self-hate. We're not ready to fight nothing because we hate each other, man. You know, we have a lot of self-hate. We have no moral structure. Our moral structure is very weak. You know, one of the things that made me embrace Islam when I was young is when I was in high school in global studies, we was learning about world history, right? And one of the first things that made me interested about Islam is that first, you got to think about American education system, which glorify European culture and Western culture, right? And say it's the best culture, and they are the most intellectual individuals, right? Whites. You're going to learn that directly or indirectly. Anybody who's educated in America, you're going to get white supremacy education, right? So when I was in high school, global history, I learned in school. Oh man, the Arabs, the Muslims, they fought off the Europeans in the Crusades, even though centuries later they conquered them. But in the Crusades, the Muslims, Arab Muslims, Persian Muslims, they ran off, they fought the Crusaders. And I said to myself, wow, man, these people beat the Europeans. And then the Europeans learned from these individual Muslims soap, how to wash their behind, fork, spoons to eat, utensils, soap, medicine, all these things from the Muslims. But I noticed the Arabs, they was not always all together, even the Muslim Arabs. They was not always together. But when them Crusaders came in, oh man, they got themselves together real quick, even if they had disagreements. They got themselves together real quick to run out those Crusaders, even though it took them a very long time to get rid of them, right? Black people. And I read that, I said, wow, man, at least these people was able to fight against these Europeans who are racist. And the Europeans went to the Holy Land or take over the Holy Land because they felt that those Arabs shouldn't have no control over that. They even killed the Arab Christians when they took over the Palestine. Right? They even killed the Arab Christians because they said the Arab Christians were not from their sect of religion. Right? The Arabs got together, fought them off. Black people in America, we don't take no heed from world history. When I seen that as a kid, I learned that in high school. I said, wow, man. These people's religion is the reason why they ran these peoples out. They were able to unite each other. Blacks in America, we have no formal training from our own peoples. We have no formal training or education that's from our peoples for us. We don't have that. We don't get that in school. When you go to school every day to public school, you don't get nothing formal of education that is best for a black person in America. You get a white man's education that benefits the white structure. So if you're black and you're being educated in America, you're going to learn how to support the white supremacy power structure. I don't care. You can get it directly or indirectly. If the person's not a black person, not have a high intelligence, then he's not going to realize that he's getting a white supremacist education propaganda. He's learning in school white supremacist propaganda. He's not learning, He's not learning anything about self. He's not learning about self as a black person. He's learning about, when we learn about history in America, American history, learn about white folks, how they killed and destroyed the natives and how they governed this country, how they got the government together. You're not learning nothing about self. You learn about white supremacy. That's you learning about white supremacy. When you learn about George Washington Carver, Abraham Lincoln, the Civil War, you learn about the white power structure. Even when you learn about slavery, right? Slavery in American public school, you're learning about economics. See, when a white man look at slavery or slavery history, he's learning the history of economics. Oh man, some Negroes, some black folks don't understand what I'm about to say. How do you learn about economics when you learn about slavery in America? Because they built this country from free labor. That's economics. That's part of economics. You was enslaved because of economics. Economics. That's why you in this country. That's yeah. White man didn't bring you here because he want to beat your back. No, he brought you here because of economics. Free labor. Pay no wages. So you learn about slavery in America, you learn about economics, but you don't know that. So you're learning from the white man system. You learn about slavery even in America in public school. We learn about slavery. You're learning from the white supremacy system about economics. That's why some white folks don't got a problem teaching about slavery in America. That's why some white folks, they ain't got no issue about teaching slavery in America. That's part of economics. White kids got to learn, man. They built this country from free labor, meaning that, white man was smart. White man was smart. He made a very smart move. Slavery was a very smart move for the economy of this country. But black Negroes, when we look at that part of history, in America's history, we don't even realize that. A lot of us don't even realize that. We just say, oh man, my great-great-grandparents is slaves, and there's going to be a lot of trauma. There's a lot of trauma with it. You don't want to realize it. Sometimes you got to step outside the box to get a clear picture. Sometimes you got to step outside the box to get a clear picture. It's about economics. Everything in this country is about economics. White supremacist system is about white man keeping all the power in his hand. And that's financial power also. So systemic racism must always be in place. Why? Because black people are a threat. How to imagine people are enslaved and brought here for economics. To build my economics, how I'm going to treat them equal? Does that make sense? Somebody that brought here as a slave to build my economy, to build my economics, to build my government, or my financial system, structure and system that give you real freedom, share my wealth with you. Oh, you crazy? Imagine you. I'm gonna give a black person, because a lot of us black people don't have no common sense. A lot of us, we don't think like this. You're gonna think outside the box. Think about you. You black. You work a 9 to 5 job, 40 hours a week, right? 40 hours a week. And imagine somebody that you don't know, come up to you in the street and tell you, hey man, give me your whole check for the week. It's my right. Give me your whole check for the week. Will you be mad? Will you be mad? For sure. You work for it, right? You think white man work for where the U.S. government is at today? The white man worked for that. That's why he was put in slavery. It's based on finances. And imagine now, he built this system and got to this high level, and you asking him now, hey man, I want you to share power with me now, man. Imagine somebody tell you they want you to share their check that you work for with. You gonna say you crazy? That's how the white man looking at you. The white man said, man, you crazy. But white man, he's smart. He ain't gonna say you crazy in your face. He's smart, very smart in his conniving evilness. Very smart. He's gonna say, well, what he gonna do is he's just gonna swingle you around. He ain't gonna share power. He's gonna make it look like he's sharing power with you. How he's gonna make it look like he's sharing power with you, but he really is not. Oh, how the white man gonna make it look like he's sharing power with you, but he's not? Oh, Derek Chauvin, guilty verdict. Derek Chauvin's guilty verdict. It's a clear sign. White man don't want to share no power. White man don't want to get rid of those systemic racism in the laws and legal system, because that's what keeps him in power and keep you in the position where you at. So what he do? He virtual signal with you. White cop get caught on camera killing some black guy. What the government do? What the government do? Government look at the whole case. How many lawyers on the prosecutor's side? How many lawyers did Derek Chauvin have? He had one lawyer. The prosecution had about 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 people, 5 or 6 people working with the law team. Look at all the witnesses the prosecutor brought from all over the country. All those different witnesses. How many different witnesses did Derek Chauvin defense bring? 1. Who paid for the prosecution, all those lawyers and stuff, and all the other resources they have? Who paid for that? Who paid for that? Black people didn't pay for that. Government paid for that. Why? Because the government rather gets a guilty verdict, rather give you a guilty verdict from Derek Chauvin than give you real liberty and freedom and financial freedom. He'd rather give you this bone. He'd rather give you this bone, this guilty verdict, right? Because you don't win the battle with that guilty verdict. Nothing in American legal system changed with the guilty verdict of Derek Chauvin. It didn't change nothing about the laws or policing. No laws were passed. Nothing about systemic racism was given. Nothing that empowered black people by legal status wasn't given by this verdict. But black people think we gotta win. We won something. You didn't win anything. We didn't win anything. White man not giving you nothing. He gave you that. The white man, that police officer, he's like a pawn on the chessboard of the game. How you win chess? You have to beat the king. You have to get the king. So you're trying to beat the king, the queen, and the king. So the pawn pieces are what? Expendable. Expendable. That's what they are, the pawn pieces in the game. They're just soldiers. That's all they are. Do you put your head in the front of the battle to fight? No, because if you put your head, your leader in the front of the battle to fight, once he's killed, then the whole war, everything is lost because you have no leader. Them putting that old police officer in prison, it doesn't change anything about the legal system, systemic racism. Nothing was changed. So they gave him that because what happened? In reality, the white man is not losing no power by putting that guy in prison, right? The white power structure is not losing anything by putting that white guy in power. Matter of fact, they have another white police officer to replace him on the police force. Gonna have another white police officer to replace him on the police force until the white police officer or the new recruits, be a little bit smarter now because people got cameras. Better watch what you're doing. But they're not gonna change nothing about the legal system. They're gonna change nothing about systemic racism in the law. Black people, yo, we gotta wake up. We can't wake up if we still fighting each other. We can't wake up and change anything if we still don't have any morals. See, as I said before, white man is not giving this up. Imagine you have a company now. I'll give you another example. You have a company, all right? You have $1 million company, invention that you made, right? And once you formulate this idea or device, whatever it is that gives you this type of income, and you own all the rights for it, and you're making money. Imagine somebody come in on the office one day and knock on your door. Somebody you don't know, somebody that has none of your expertise, somebody did not sacrifice, who didn't do none of this work, come in and say, "Hey, man, I demand you make me the CEO of your company. This company of yours is my company now." What you would do? You would say, "Get the hell out of here." Right? You're like, you didn't put none of this work in. You didn't put none of this work in. Why should I give you my job, my head position of my company? Right? You're gonna say this person is crazy, man. Get out of here, man. You say this person is crazy, right? That's how the white man, the power structure, should look at black people when they said they want to end systemic racism and want the white power structure to empower black peoples and to get rid of systemic racism. That's how the white man look at you. Like, yo, man, we built this. White people saying we built this country. They did build this country. The physical labor, you guys built. The intellectual thinking and structure of the of the country, white man did it. You think the white man is going to release that and put it in the hands of black people or share that power with them, with black peoples? White men look at you crazy. You're going to say, "Oh, but we are the children or the ancestors of slaves." It's like, and that's the point of slavery. We did all the killing and slaughtering. We the one who sold our souls to get to this level. We the one who destroyed civilizations and peoples. Non-whites, we the one who destroyed it just to make a place for other whites to come and live. You think they're going to want to? They did all this work, all this bloodshed, all this killing, all this murdering and massacring, just to now share it now with the people who they conquer over with? To share it with you? The people who they conquered? They're going to say, "But you guys wasn't smart enough to do this yourselves. So why are we going to give you this position?" Look, even the white man who's not racist, per se, if there's such, right? A white man who's not racist, think about it. He's going to say, if you blacks have a lot of self-hate, you're always fighting each other, right? And you're not able to keep or to have a certain structure where you are empowering yourselves. If you're not able to do that, and the main reason why you're not able to do that because you're fighting each other, why we want to share power with you? Because you don't have the mental ability or capability to be in power because you're too busy fighting each other. And because you're too busy fighting each other, everybody will lose if we put you in power. We will lose our position globally if we share power with you guys who don't know how to fight, who are fighting each other and don't know how to maintain or have power structure. Hey, man, that's why we need Islam. Wallahi. To me, in my personal opinion, why black folks need Islam. They can't do it with Christianity. White man didn't get to his structure where he at with Christianity either. He can't do it with the church. The church just care about tithes and getting money. The church is modern day capitalist religion, commercial religion. So black folks gotta ask themselves, yo, how are we gonna? White man ain't gonna share no power with you, Negroes. Y'all fighting, killing each other. Imagine I have a team. I'm a soldier. I'm a military leader. Do you think I want to have troops in my army who are fighting each other? Think about it. How many guys work? How many of you brothers and sisters work in a job and you're a supervisor? Do you want people who work under you who every day fighting each other? What's gonna happen? There's gonna be no control. You have no control in your job. There's gonna be chaos in the workplace. Huh? There'll be chaos in the workplace. Even common sense will tell you that. You don't want people working with you who don't know how to work as a team and group. Common sense will tell you that. So you think white men gonna share power with black folks and we're fighting and killing each other? And they did all the work to get to where they at. You think they're gonna start sharing with you, especially if you bring no benefit. Rather yet, your thinking and your self hate will harm peoples. They rather get Asians and Latinos and stuff. They rather get them. I'm sorry, white Latinos and them Asians, right? Because Asians didn't fight. They don't have self hate. Not fighting each other. American government might share power one day with them Asians and stuff because Asian people don't have self-hate and they're united. So that will help. That will help the country, right? But that's not what white supremacy about anyway. So don't worry, it ain't never gonna happen. White supremacy is not about that. Not about that. But just imagine one day white people. Imagine if white people have a conscious. I doubt that also. Say one day, okay, we want to share power with its citizens who are not white, you won't be the first choice. Why? Because black people, we have a lot of self-hate. Imagine people who have self-hate now in power. Ooh, man. Imagine black folks who have a lot of self-hate, who are killing each other. Imagine if they get power. Man, they lose the country. So before black people could talk about fighting or flight, we talk about removing from ourselves self-hate and learn how to live with each other as black peoples. If we don't focus on that, you will never have any success wherever you go, wherever black people go. Whether you stay here or you go away, it's always going to be back to the origin of the problem. Self-hate, which leads to no unity. Some food for thought. I didn't mean to make this video long, but I've been on my mind for a few days. I hear a lot of black people talking about African American Muslims talking about either you fight or you leave from the country. That's not the solution. Solution is remove the origin of the problem, and that is self-hate and no moral structure. No moral structure. Even religiously, the black people in America, religiously, whether Islam or Christianity, whatever black people are following, you notice the young people now have no moral and no spirituality. Our homes are messed up. Our peoples, I'm watching the news yesterday, this black woman killed both of her kids, newborn babies. I know it's probably mental health, right? I look in New York and in Bronx and Brooklyn, see black people shooting up each other. And now they first was talking about defund police. Now they like, yo, bring more police in. Black people talk about this now. Bring more. The same people talk about defund the police are the same people complaining not enough police in the street now. Why? Because black people can't govern each other because of the self-hate, no morals. Some people, we need to focus on fixing the self-hate, healing moral structure. We need a moral structure. No moral structure, no unity. Don't remove self-hate, never have no unity. And I will end with that.